The Zorvax commander slammed his clawed fist onto the screen. Static danced across the hollow map. Another patrol gone. Another squad of elite soldiers disappeared. No bodies. No signals. No fight recorded. Just silence. He turned to his lieutenants. "This is a jungle. Primitive. Dirty. Uncivilized. You mean to tell me humans are winning here?" None answered. They stood silent, stiff, their smooth gray skin tense with hidden fear. Deep in the South American jungle, the air was thick, wet. Leaves glistened under the sun. Birds cried in the canopy. But underneath that natural beauty was something darker, something deadly. The humans called this zone Sector 47. The Zorvax had renamed it the Dead Trees. Their troops were afraid to go in. They didn't understand how a place without plasma cannons or satellites could kill so many of them, but Captain Lena Morales understood. She moved silently through the underbrush, her face painted in dark green and black. Her old rifle rested in her hands. Not shiny, not alien. Just steel, wood, and grit. Her unit, 12 humans in old boots and sweat-drenched shirts, followed her like shadows. Above them, a Zorvax scout drone buzzed softly. Morales froze, lifted a finger. The team sank into the jungle floor like it swallowed them. Within seconds, they vanished. The drone hovered, scanned the area, beeped, and moved on. Morales whispered, "Let it go. We'll take the next one." This was not Earth's battlefield. It was humanity's trap. The Zorvax elite squad that had just entered the jungle was already sweating. Their suits were designed for climate-controlled war. Not rain, not mud, not swarms of biting insects. They stumbled forward, weapons high, motion sensors flashing red with interference. Commander Kellen of the Zorvax led them. He was tired of failure. Tired of this stinking planet. Tired of humans. He activated his comm. "All units, fan out. Find the primitives. Burn the trees if you must." They moved forward, careless. That's when it began. The first explosion was small, a mine hidden under jungle vines. One soldier gone, legs blown off, screaming, blood spraying on leaves. The others froze. Then the trees hissed. Smoke bombs dropped from above, covering the squad in thick white fog. They tried switching to thermal view, but it was jammed, useless. Static flooded their helmets. Kellen shouted, "Stay tight! Form defensive!" A bullet cracked through the air. One alien dropped. Then another. The humans weren't seen, only heard. The sound of leaves moving, the glint of a scope, a whisper in the trees. The Zorvax began to fire in panic. Blue plasma lit the jungle, burning trees and animals, but they were blind. One by one, they were picked off. Lena's team moved in a slow, practiced dance. Set the trap, shoot once, move again. They never stayed in the same spot. They never showed their faces. Old tactics. Human tactics. Guerrilla warfare. By the time the sun dipped low, Kellen had only 3 soldiers left. Their suits were torn, their ammo low. One was bleeding, dragging his leg behind. They stumbled into a clearing, and there, in the center, was a body. Not human. Zorvax, stripped of armor, hung upside down from a tree. On the chest was carved a message in English. "Not your jungle." Kellen's hands shook. He opened his comm to base. "Emergency extraction. We are—" A loud snap cut his words. A rope trap lifted one soldier into the air, snapping his spine. Another stepped back and triggered a grenade tripwire. Now only Kellen remained, alone. He dropped his weapon and fell to his knees. "I surrender." He gasped, his voice trembling. Then he heard it. A voice, human. Calm, cold, too late. From the trees, Lena stepped out, face hard, rifle raised. The Zorvax commander looked up at her, eyes wide. "You're animals," he whispered. Lena smiled. "No, we're the jungle." A sharp noise rang out. Then silence. Later, at the human base hidden deep underground, Lena dropped her gear. Her hands were shaking now. Not from fear, but from what they had become. She looked at her team. All safe. All alive. All dirty. Tired. And still standing. Another squad gone. her second-in-command said. "You think they'll keep coming?" She nodded slowly. "Oh, they'll come, and we'll teach them again." Outside, the jungle swayed in the wind, alive, watching, waiting. And above, from far orbit, the Zorvax ships circled nervously, no longer laughing, no longer sure. This jungle wasn't theirs. It belonged to the humans now. Smoke curled over the broken skyline of New Cordoba. The city had become a graveyard of steel, glass, and burning alien wreckage. Buildings once full of life were now covered in soot and ash. The Zorvax believed this human city would fall in one night, but it was now day 12. They had thrown everything at it. Plasma storms, orbital strikes, poison gas. Still, the humans inside held the walls. Still, they fired back. Still, they fought like wolves backed into a corner. From high orbit, Commander Reelan stared down at the glowing red circle on his map. His voice was tight. One city. One last holdout. Why can't we break them? Beside him, a Zorvax analyst clicked nervously. The humans, they don't fight like soldiers anymore. They fight like they have nothing to lose. Reelan leaned forward. Send the juggernauts. Tonight New Cordoba will burn. On the ground, inside the ruined heart of the city, Captain Riker stood on a broken bridge, binoculars in hand. His dirty jacket flapped in the wind. Behind him, the last few hundred civilians huddled inside the old subway stations, guarded by tired fighters with patched-up rifles. Riker had seen the sky flash blue. The juggernauts were coming. They're dropping the big ones, said Marco, his second-in-command. What now? Riker didn't blink. We make them bleed for every step. The juggernauts hit the ground like thunder. 20-foot machines, stomping through the ruins with glowing cores and armored plating. Nothing the humans had could break their shields. One shot from their cannons could flatten a block, but Riker had a plan. He didn't wait for them to come. He sent runners, kids no older than 16, with flares and mirrors. They ran across rooftops, jumping between gaps, leading the machines into narrow alleys. The Zorvax pilots inside the juggernauts didn't realize the humans were controlling the fight. They thought they were chasing panic. In truth, they were walking into a kill box. Riker stood in a dark sewer holding a detonator. Sweat dripped from his face. Now, he whispered. Boom. The ground exploded. Every alley filled with fire. The weight of their own machines collapsed the tight streets. 2 juggernauts went down instantly. Legs broken, reactors smoking. From the rooftops, human fighters threw homemade grenades made from scrap metal and stolen alien cores. They jumped from windows, attaching bombs to the armored backs before leaping off again into the rubble. One by one, the mighty machines crashed. But not all of them. The largest juggernaut, Unit 7, broke through the last defense wall. Its cannon fired once, and the building protecting the civilians trembled. Screams echoed from below. Dust fell from the subway ceiling. People cried, huddled together in fear. Riker grabbed a radio. Fall back to Zone Red. Protect the civilians. No time! Marco shouted. That thing will reach them in minutes! Then a voice came through the comm, weak but steady. This is Lieutenant Anna. I'm still near the reactor core of the city grid. I can overload it. It'll take out the machine. Riker's face went cold. You'll die. There was a short silence. Then Anna replied, Better me than all of them. No one argued. A moment later, the ground began to shake. A bright white light rose from beneath the streets, then turned red. Boom! A fireball lifted the juggernaut off its feet and slammed it into a building. It groaned, sparked, and died. Riker stood on the street, staring at the glow. His fists were clenched. He turned to his team. Get everyone underground. Reinforce the tunnels. If they want this city, they'll have to crawl in here and fight us face to face. That night, the stars were hidden by smoke. In orbit, Commander Raylan watched in disbelief. We lost 8 juggernauts? In a city made of bricks and bullets? The analyst turned, eyes wide. Sir, they're not scared anymore. Raylan whispered, That city should have fallen. But it didn't. New Cordoba stood like a broken tooth in the jaw of Earth. But it stood. The humans inside had no air support, no modern weapons, no working satellites. But they had fire, courage, and each other. In the heart of the rubble, Riker stood on top of a building holding a human flag. Torn, dirty, but flying. As long as that flag stood, the Zorvax would never be able to claim this planet. They could destroy cities, but they could never break the human spirit. The river once flowed clear and peaceful through the valley. Now it ran dark, thick with ash, smoke, and blood. The water carried broken helmets, burnt leaves, and the remains of fallen warriors. This river had witnessed battles before, but never like this. The Zorvax had changed their tactics. No more slow attacks, no more testing human defenses. This time, they hit with everything. Ships, soldiers, drones, and flamestorms. They attacked from the sky and from the water, dropping poison into the rivers that fed human crops and villages. They were not just trying to win the war. They were trying to break Earth itself. On the cliffs above the river, Captain Riker stood with a scope in his hands. His face was covered in dirt. His eyes were sharp. "They've poisoned the river," he said. "Nothing can drink it now. Not us. Not the animals." Beside him, Marco looked down the slope. They're moving in. A full convoy. Tanks, armor, troops. All crossing the bridge in 10 minutes. Riker lowered the scope. "Not if we take the bridge first." His voice was calm, but the danger was not. The Zorvax convoy was massive. More than 50 machines of war were rolling down the valley, heading toward the last human stronghold in the region. If they crossed that bridge, the fight would be over. But Riker had no tanks, no fighter jets. Just 24 human resistance, fighters, and a plan so crazy it might work. Below the cliffs, the human team moved fast. They crawled through mud and thorns, hiding in bushes. Rain started to fall. It mixed with the smoke and oil in the river, turning into a black mist that burned the skin. Riker held up his hand. Positions. They moved into place. Under the bridge, humans placed barrels of explosive liquid made from stolen alien tech. On the sides of the hill, snipers waited behind rocks with old bolt-action rifles. No laser sights. No night vision. Just nerves and aim. Then came the sound. Rumbling. Deep and heavy. The Zorvax convoy had arrived. Giant wheels rolled onto the bridge. The metal structure creaked under the weight of alien tanks. The first drone scout hovered in front of the convoy. Scanning for threats, it didn't see the humans, not until it was too late. Boom! The first barrel exploded, sending fire straight into the sky. The front of the convoy shook. A tank veered to the side, crashing into the railing. Human snipers opened fire, not at the machines, but at their weak spots, where cooling vents and joints were exposed. "Take the legs," Riker shouted over the radio. "Shoot the tracks." The bridge became a battlefield. Zorvax troops jumped from the machines and returned fire. Their plasma guns lit up the valley. Trees caught fire. Mud boiled. Then Riker gave the final order. "Blow the bridge." Underneath, a fighter named Lonnie pressed the trigger. The entire center of the bridge exploded in flames. Metal cracked and snapped. Tanks fell into the river. Screaming aliens were dragged down by heavy armor. The Red River swallowed them all. The rest of the convoy tried to turn back, but the road behind them was blocked. Humans had set traps, rolling logs, spike pits, mines. The Zorvax were surrounded, and for the first time, they felt fear. In orbit, Commander Relan was silent as he watched the footage. "They destroyed the bridge," he said slowly. "Why would they destroy something they need?" The analyst replied, "Because they don't care about saving land anymore. They only care about stopping us." Back on the ground, Riker and his team watched the burning bridge from the cliff. Smoke rose high. The battle had been won, but the cost was heavy. 4 human fighters were lost, 2 more wounded, and the river was ruined. Marco sat down, wiping, blood from his forehead. "That river fed 10 villages. It's dead now." Riker nodded. "Then we'll dig new wells, build new pumps. As long as we breathe, we fight." The others looked at him, tired, dirty, hungry, but not broken. The Zorvax had turned Earth's rivers red, but they had also awakened something far more dangerous. The unbreakable will of a human defending his home. Riker raised a small flag on a broken pole beside the cliff. A human symbol, simple and torn, but still standing. As long as the Earth had fighters like him, it would never be conquered. The sky was burning orange when the Zorvax started their next attack. The valley below was filled with thick trees, winding rivers, and small human camps hidden in the shadows. But the aliens didn't care about hiding. They came in fast, loud ships in the air, tanks crawling through the trees, and soldiers marching. Across the hills, their target was clear: the river. Humans depended on it. It gave them water, food, and shelter. If the aliens took the river, they would choke out the humans without firing a single bullet. Captain Riker saw it coming. Standing on a cliff, he used his binoculars and watched the long line of alien tanks, heading straight for the water. "They're not just taking the land," he said. "They're poisoning everything we need to live." Marco was next to him, breathing heavy. "We can't stop that many. There are too many of them." Riker nodded slowly. "Then we don't stop them head on. We bleed them. We make the river scream." Down below, the human fighters moved quickly through the jungle. Their faces were painted with mud. They wore old armor made from scrap and leather. Some carried guns from the last century. But they weren't afraid. They had learned to fight smarter, not harder. They reached the riverbank as the Zorvax tanks began to cross the large bridge. The sound of metal on metal filled the air. The water was already turning black from the oil, and waste dripping from the machines. The river was dying. Riker gave the signal. Explosions tore through the trees. Barrels filled with stolen alien chemicals burst into flames, lighting up the sky. Human snipers on the cliff opened fire, aiming at the vents and energy cores of the Zorvax tanks. One tank exploded in a ball of green flame. Another fell sideways, crushing 2 alien soldiers. But the Zorvax didn't stop. They launched drones and fired plasma blasts into the jungle. Trees exploded. Ground turned to ash. One human fighter screamed as fire burned across his back. Riker watched from above, calm and cold. "Let them cross the bridge," he said. "Let them all come." More tanks moved onto the bridge. Hundreds of alien troops followed, stomping in metal suits. Then, Riker's voice came through the radio. Now, Lonnie, hidden beneath the bridge, pressed the button. The entire center of the bridge exploded. A deep, terrible sound rolled across the jungle like thunder. Metal twisted and broke. Tanks screamed as they crashed into the dark river. Alien soldiers were pulled under the waves, their suits too heavy to swim. The river turned red, not just with dirt and oil, but with blood. Some Zorvax tried to escape. Others fired wildly at shadows in the trees. But the jungle belonged to the humans now. Marco came running up the hill. "It's working! They're trapped!" Riker didn't smile. He just watched. Let them see what they've done. Let them fear what we're willing to lose. In space, the Zorvax command ship recorded the scene. A commander growled in disbelief. They destroyed their own bridge? They poisoned their own river? A younger officer looked afraid. "Sir, they don't fight like us." "No," the commander said. "They fight like animals, wild, smart, and angry." Back on Earth, the fires burned into the night. The jungle echoed with the sounds of dying machines. Riker walked to the river's edge. The water was ruined now. No more clean water. No more fish. But he didn't care. They had made the Zorvax bleed. They thought the river was just water, he whispered. They didn't know it was a weapon. Around him, human fighters gathered, tired and hurt, but standing tall. The aliens had turned their rivers red, but the humans had turned the river into a trap. The war was far from over, but Earth was learning how to fight, and it was fighting back. The stars above Earth were silent now. No alien ships flew. No plasma bombs dropped from orbit. The Zorvax fleet had stopped their attacks, but it wasn't peace. It was fear. Deep in space, the Zorvax High Command held meetings in silence. Screens showed images of humans, dirty, tired, wounded, still fighting, still standing. Their armor was made from trash. Their guns were hundreds of years old. And yet, every time, they kept winning. "Why haven't we broken them?" One alien commander shouted. An older Zorvax looked at the reports. "We gave them a planet filled with chaos, and they became part of it. We burned their forests. They turned trees into traps. We poisoned their rivers. They used the water to drown our tanks. We attacked their homes, and they turned the ruins into weapons. The younger officers said nothing. They are not just fighting us. The older one said, "It's like the whole planet is fighting back." Down on Earth, the last wave of Zorvax troops was moving through the ruins of an old human city. It had been quiet for days. No sign of human soldiers, no sounds of rifles or mines, just buildings half covered in jungle vines and ash. Lieutenant Norvek looked uneasy. "It's too quiet. This is a trap." His commander laughed. "They are broken. They ran out of tricks." But then, the ground shook. Explosives hidden beneath the streets blasted open, swallowing tanks and troops in a fiery pit. From the rooftops, humans appeared. Camouflaged, silent, deadly. They moved like ghosts. They shot, stabbed, vanished. Again into smoke. Even the animals turned against the invaders. Zorvax patrols were attacked by large jungle cats trained by humans. Packs of wild dogs carried grenades into enemy camps. Birds circled above, sending warnings with strange calls. The whole planet had become one giant weapon, and the Zorvax were losing. In the center of the city, Captain Riker led the final push. He didn't wear a uniform anymore, just a long coat, scars across his face, and an old shotgun in his hands. Around him were fighters from every background. Old soldiers, young teens, farmers, mechanics, even prisoners. All united by one thing, Earth. They moved like they were one body. No fear, no retreat. As they charged into the Zorvax camp, the aliens panicked. One tried to speak. "Wait, we can negotiate." But Riker just said, "You had your chance." The humans destroyed the command post. Fires lit the sky. Ships exploded on the ground. For the first time, the Zorvax didn't run. They begged. In orbit, the last of the Zorvax commanders watched the feed. "Evacuate. Now," he said. "We can't win. Not here. Not on this cursed planet." As their ships began to flee, Earth's skies glowed with fire and smoke. But it wasn't the end. Not for the humans. Not for Earth. Riker stood on the roof of a ruined building, watching the alien ships escape. Around him, human fighters cheered. Some cried, some collapsed. But all of them knew they had done the impossible. "They came with fire," Riker said. "They gave us junk weapons. They laughed at our old guns. They thought we were weak." He looked at the rising sun. "But we're still here, and now they're not." From the trees, from the rivers, from the broken cities, the people of Earth rose, stronger, angrier, united. The planet had been wounded, but it fought back. Not just with bullets and bombs, but with every root, every river, every ruined street, and every human soul. It was no longer just a war. It was a warning. To the galaxy. Earth doesn't kneel. Earth doesn't forget. And Earth fights back.